I want to do something good. And I did that. I cure AIDS, I cure diabetes, I cure sickle cell, I cure lupus, herpes, blindness. Now that is like gone. That was the easiest thing to do, curing AIDS and the rest of those diseases.
What up, y'all? It's your boy O-Man, aka O the Dread, and welcome back to the channel. If you don't know who Dr. Sebi is, then have a seat, sit back, and get ready for me to tell you the tale of a man who carved out a unique and polarizing space in the landscape of alternative health. To his devoted followers, he was a visionary herbalist who offered a path to healing where conventional medicine had failed. To medical professionals and legal authorities, however, he was a dangerous pseudoscientist, a quack who sold false hope to the desperate. The central conflict of his life was this profound schism between his status as a revealed healer and his official characterization as a charlatan. In this video, we'll explore his life, the science that dispels the myths that have grown around this snake oil salesman, and his outrageous claims. We'll also dive into the implications of medicine denial and how, even long after his death, his race-based pseudoscience presents a grave danger to communities of color, closing it out with my final thought. Now, if you haven't clicked away yet, this video is for you. Let's get ready to piss some people off. Alfredo Bowman, better known as Dr. Sebi, was, despite his name, not a doctor but an herbalist born on November 23, 1933 in the village of Ilanga, Honduras. He spent much of his formative years steeped in traditional practices, learning about herbal healing from his grandmother who would remain an influence throughout his career. By the time he immigrated to the US as an adult, Bowman was allegedly already suffering from a host of chronic ailments, including asthma, diabetes, obesity, impotency, and visual impairment. Growing frustrated with what he perceived as limitations in Western medicine, he began his search for an alternative. The turning point, according to Sebi, came during his visit to an herbalist in Mexico named Alfredo Cortez, who reportedly confirmed to Bowman that he was dying. This dire diagnosis, followed by an alleged complete healing, became a transformative experience that inspired Sebi to create his own herbal mixtures and begin his practice as a self-proclaimed healer. From this personal genesis, he developed a unique and controversial healing methodology that would define his public life. At the core of Sebi's practice is a system built on a distinct, non-scientific view of human biology. His entire methodology, branded African Biomineral Balance, rests on foundational beliefs about mucus, acidity, and unique racial genetics. These tenets became the basis for his prescribed treatments and the controversy that followed him. Now, in order to evaluate the system he created, it's important to first clearly define his foundational beliefs. His entire therapeutic framework rested on a small number of central and deeply controversial tenets that directly contradict established medical science. Let's break down his most critical claims, and then a little bit later, we'll get into the science behind why they could never work. Before we do any of that, if you enjoy these types of videos and want to see more of mine on your feed, please make sure you like, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my weekly drops. Alright, back to that breakdown. The mucus and acidity theory. Bowman believed that all diseases are caused by the accumulation of mucus, which he claimed was a direct result of an acidic state in the body. He asserted that diseases fundamentally cannot survive in an alkaline environment. This simplistic, all-encompassing theory of pathology became the cornerstone of his therapeutic claims. The alkaline diet. To achieve this disease-free alkaline state, Sebi promoted a highly restrictive plant-based diet. The regimen was governed by a strict set of rules, including the avoidance of all animal products, wheat, alcohol, and the use of microwaves. The diet even prohibited canned or seedless fruits, permitting only naturally growing grains. A mandate to drink a gallon of spring water daily was also a key component. Cell-food supplements. Complementing the diet were his proprietary herbal products known as cell food or African Biomineral Balance compounds. These supplements came at a high cost, with plans ranging from $750 to $1,500. His website featured a clear disclaimer stating that its claims had not been evaluated by the FDA. A particularly concerning notice on his products read, Dr. Sebi's original and unique formulas are proprietary of Dr. Sebi and may contain ingredients not listed here. Race-based pseudoscience. Sebi's theories extended even further into unsubstantiated claims regarding genetics. He explicitly stated in a letter that the African gene resonates on a higher electrical vibration and that his compounds were designed to complement the African gene structure. Based on these principles, which he developed with absolutely zero medical or even a basic education.
Anything. I said, you're right, Lisa. We don't know anything. And what all these books are for? I said, I don't know. I don't read them. I don't read any books. I don't read nobody's book. I don't care whose book is this.
Bowman set up shop near La Ceiba, Honduras in the 1980s and began marketing his products in the US shortly after opening Ogun Herbal Research Institute in Brooklyn, New York in 1985. This marketing campaign consisted of advertisements placed in New York newspapers claiming that he could cure any disease including AIDS. a particularly harmful lie to tell during the rapid rise of a viral epidemic that was disproportionately claiming lives in the black community, especially in New York City. Sebi would eventually run into legal trouble for making such egregious claims, leading to his arrest and a charge for practicing medicine without a license in 1987. The court case was nothing short of bizarre. Bowman would go on to describe it as a triumph in his favor, though, giving a ridiculous account of the proceeding, implying that he intellectually owned the judge and that the 77 quote-unquote witnesses who accompanied him to the trial, claiming they had been cured, left the judge no choice but to rule in his favor.
Robert Abraham went on the air and said that he would have put me not in jail, he would have put me under the jail. I was looking at him saying that right here in New York on television. I watched him say that. When I went to court on the Thursday, the judge said that I would have to bring one of every patient. AIDS, blindness, diabetes, lupus, herpes, sickle cell, impotence, paralysis, and others. 9. I didn't take 9 to the Supreme Court. I took 77 people with accredited medical documents, diagnostic sheets, and the judge go like this. I only want 9. Well, needless to say, with that kind of presentation and giving and exhibiting this, the jurors came back and said, practicing medicine without a license, not guilty, because he doesn't sell medicine. The Lancaster laboratories identify our product as being natural vegetation cell food. Not guilty for claiming that he cures AIDS, because he does, and he has proven it.
However, the story isn't entirely true. While the witnesses' testimonies did include test results that showed a positive and later a negative result for HIV, false positives on official tests were extremely common at the time until the end of the decade. His acquittal actually came as a result of a botched undercover operation, the prosecutor's failure to produce evidence that Bowman was giving medical diagnoses, and the erroneous assumption that he was prescribing a medical compound to his patients, when in fact, what he was selling was a natural vegetarian liquid compound. At no point was he on trial to prove that his herbal remedies were effective in curing HIV or cancer. This technicality meant that Sebi was not actually practicing medicine without a license according to its legal definition. His own lawyer even dry snitched in a statement given to the press, explaining that there was no proof that Sebi was practicing medicine under the meaning of the statute, and that any claims of being cured came solely from the individuals who provided their personal experiences. This seemingly benign statement actually proves that no research was being performed on the clients that would accurately monitor the cure of HIV or any other illnesses, and that the evidence he was basing his claims on was purely anecdotal, likely provided by friends. Bowman would find himself in court again the following year in 1988, fighting a civil suit filed by the New York State Attorney General for consumer fraud. This case resulted in a consent decree that prohibited him from making therapeutic claims about products curing diseases like AIDS, herpes, and leukemia. Although Sebi and his companies did not admit to any wrongdoing, they agreed to be legally bound by the court's orders, which were as followed. Stop making false claims. Sebi and his companies were permanently banned from claiming either orally or in writing that products could cure, mitigate, or alter the course of any disease. No more unlicensed medical practice. This prohibited them from diagnosing, treating, or prescribing for any human disease without a valid medical license. Halt misleading advertising. They were forbidden from distributing any advertisements that made claims about curing diseases. Order refunds to dissatisfied customers. They were required to place ads in the New York Amsterdam News, ordering a full refund to any customer who was not satisfied with their products or services. Pay a fine. They were ordered to pay a fine of $900. Now, you might be wondering, if this is all true, then how did he still become so successful? Well, the details of the case from 1987 for practicing medicine without a license have been sealed by the courts, making them unavailable to the public. This, coupled with Sebi's personal and misleading account of the trial, would spark the early flames of conspiracy that there was some sort of systematic cover-up attempting to suppress his cures, fearing they could dismantle the pharmaceutical industry. The truth is, when a case is ruled in favor of the defendant, certain information and details about a case may remain sealed or restricted from public access. This often happens to protect the privacy and rights of all individuals involved, as well as maintain the integrity of the legal process. In many jurisdictions, especially in the US, there are rules and laws in place that dictate what information can be made public or not. For example, sensitive personal information, trade secrets, or classified materials may be withheld from public disclosure even after the case is decided. Though the specifics of the sealed cases may not be readily available to the public, interested parties can typically access certain basic information about the case through official court records such as case title, docket number, parties involved, and basic information about the court's decision. This shroud of mystery and misinformation surrounding the case, his charge, and his reason for acquittal allowed Sebi to continue his grift for many years to come. Fast forward to 2004, and by this time, Bowman had generated quite the following, even attracting the attention of various celebrities such as Michael Jackson, Eddie Murphy, John Travolta, Steven Seagal, and Lisa Left Eye Lopes, all of whom would become part of his A-list clientele according to Sebi, and would greatly contribute to his expanding notoriety. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here actually, and I want to make sure I'm giving y'all the full story, so stay with me. Sebi would actually sue, yes, file a lawsuit against Michael Jackson, claiming that he was never paid for curing MJ of his painkiller addiction. Jackson's publicist denied that the singer had ever been given any professional treatment by Sebi, and the case was ultimately dismissed in 2015 for lack of prosecution. But let's hear what the doc himself had to say about Michael.
Help you. Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson?
Did he help you?
They didn't even pay me.
No. I know. That's sad.
The judge said that Michael owed me $1.2 million. They didn't pay me.
That's true.
But that was okay.
Now, you be the judge, but it sounds like it wasn't okay, and despite his brother Brandy paying out $10K to Sebi, he still felt like Mike owed him $380,000 for allegedly working with him for 6 weeks at a retreat in Aspen, Colorado, which resulted in the singer kicking his painkiller habit, as well as $600,000 in lost revenue for having deferred other clients in various speaking arrangements, neither of these claims having been substantiated. Now, as all as that might sound, it pales in comparison to his claims regarding his time with Lisa Left Eye Lopes. This is where things get particularly weird. If you're in the 30-year-old or plus crowd, then you probably remember Left Eye as 1/3 of the extremely poppin' 90s R&B group TLC. Before her tragic death following a car crash in Honduras, Lisa was vocal about her frequent trips to the island and her interest in the teachings of Sebi.
There's a lot of people in the world who are suffering, they're sick, they're not happy. They're looking for answers, they don't know where to turn. Well, I know a man who's been curing AIDS since 1987.
I had eczema. It runs in my family. You know, I didn't have it that bad, but every once in a while I would get a breakout. Rash on my face or whatever. Never, since I have changed my eating habits, have I had another breakout. I had, before I did the cleanse, I had bladder infections.
Though she is on record saying that she was being treated for various ailments, it wasn't what she said about her time with Bowman that made me raise an eyebrow. It was Sebi's personal account regarding her visit on 2 separate occasions, both being equally important to address. First, we'll talk about his interview with a woman named Karen Jackson. I haven't been able to find any information about her or the year this interview was conducted, but throughout their conversation, Sebi makes numerous claims about several of his alleged patients, and when speaking about Left Eye says this.
She received great benefits from the treatment, and she told me to mention it, which I had not mentioned it ever. I think I'm going to say it now. Lisa came with all of the little maladies, superficial, you know, maybe some alcoholism, little light too, not much, and she was kind of nervous and her eyes were blinking really fast. Yes, and that stopped, everything stopped, and one day we were in a conversation and she said, you know, Dr. Sebi, when I came to you, I had herpes and I didn't tell you, and it's all gone. I said, thank you. Thank you very much. Because it showed the value of the intracellular chelation. You don't have to tell me what you have. It's gonna be relief of your body.
Now again, there's little information about this interview, so I can't say whether this was before or after Left Eye tragically passed away. Either way, this would be a direct violation of confidentiality. Though he says she gave him permission to speak on it, I don't really believe that at all. It would also be the only source for the rumor of her having herpes. Even if we took it at face value, it would still only prove that he was openly willing to accept claims of healing without doing any tests or research on his so-called patients. The other mention of Lisa was a bit more eye-opening though, and really got me thinking about Sebi and his position amongst the women he surrounded himself with, and how he may have been a bit more selfish than some people would like to believe.
In an interview with Lisa Left Eye Lopes, who we also mentioned at the top of the show, can you please tell us what your experience was with her? Because
Lisa.
She said, we have the footage, that she was committed to spreading the word of Dr. Sebi. What did you do with her and for her?
I don't know why Lisa would say that she was spreading the word of Dr. Sebi, because she healed Dr. Sebi.
She healed you?
That's right. this young lady came to me because she needed help, right?
Yes.
Her eyes were blinking really fast, and she had a little thing that she was suffering with that she wanted to get rid of, and she got rid of them. And one day she said to me, you know, it was 4 o'clock in the morning. She's in a 21 days fast. No, sorry, 42 days fast. Lisa came in the hut where I was living with these 2 cups of sea moss. Sea moss is known as Chondrus cryptus. I had her drinking sea moss. She said, you know, you have helped me, but you need healing. And she was right. I was in a state of disarray, and I didn't know it. It took a woman to show me that. And Lisa was the one that showed me that.
And what do you mean that you were in a state of disarray?
Well, at the time, I was involved with 3 different wives. I had 3 wives then, Matum, Annette, and Ma'a. And my life was not as stable because I had other women pregnant. You know, a young girl, 19 years old, was pregnant.
Outside of those 3?
Yeah, outside of those 3 wives. Her name was Fanny. She had my little girl now that run the village named Sama. She's 20. So Lisa said to me that I needed help. And you know, I didn't realize how much help I needed until Lisa told me that morning, and she was right.
What was the kind of help you needed?
I was like emotionally out of it. I mean, I was out of it.
And were you finding, did you realize that you were finding temporary security, affection, or love through the act of these other women? Is that what it was?
Love. No. Love is something that I never depended on from a woman. In fact, I don't even like it.
While Bowman seems to speak highly of his wives in Honduras, he also makes some concerning admissions about extramarital affairs, though being a polygamist. The most bothersome, in my opinion, was that he impregnated a woman as young as 19. Even through his admission that Left Eye helped him see the error of his ways, he still seemed to have a very skewed perception of love and what it means to have meaningful relationships with women. His I don't need love from a woman mentality, while simultaneously impregnating multiple women with no care for age gap or love, only shows a man who is purely self-motivated. A man who only wants to spread his seed, so many that he eventually meets kids that he don't even know.
Man, I didn't know my own son. Yeah, there's a gentleman to help me. Yeah. I didn't know my own son. Wow.
All while building a village in a remote location where he can be praised as a great healer by his harem and promising to lead his followers to divinity. Sebi was more than just a grifter and a charlatan, he had all the traits of a cult leader. Okay, I know that was heavy and we're not even done yet. I promised we would get into the science that debunks Sebi's claims, and that's exactly what we're about to do right now. So if you're enjoying this video or this got you riled up, take a moment to like, subscribe, and drop a comment so we can get some conversation going behind this. It really helps my videos reach a larger audience. Alright, now that we've all had a moment to process, let's get into the nitty-gritty science behind Sebi's claims, why they're impossible, and how he's managed to convince people otherwise. Let's get nerdy. The mucus and acidity theory. Sebi's most central belief was that all diseases are caused by the accumulation of mucus, resulting in an acidic state in the body, and that diseases cannot survive in an alkaline environment. We can easily debunk this using some high school level biology and anatomy. pH, homeostasis, or blood activity. The human body maintains a remarkably strict control over the pH level of the blood, known as homeostasis. Blood contains molecules, specifically carbonic and sodium bicarbonate, which function to keep the pH balance between a slim window of 7.35 and 7.45. Our kidneys and liver work constantly to filter blood and maintain this narrow pH range. Any significant deviation from this narrow range results in illness and death. This robust and complex system reveals a gross misunderstanding of the human body, and Sebi's claim that dietary interventions could drastically alter systemic pH to achieve a disease-free alkaline state. Role of mucus. Sebi's assertion that all disease is caused by excess mucus accumulation is objectively false, and another clear and correct understanding of biology. Mucus is actually an important part of the body's defense. It protects the linings of the respiratory and digestive systems and functions to trap bacteria and small toxic particles from the air. When excess mucus does occur, such as in bronchitis, it is typically a symptom of the disease or inflammation, not the underlying cause. The alkaline diet. This strict diet was promoted to achieve the supposedly curative alkaline state. As we just discussed, the body has a natural pH regulation process through which it maintains homeostasis, making it exceedingly difficult to alter the body's pH. Therefore, following Sebi's strict diet, even religiously, will not make the body more alkaline. Ability to cure AIDS and cancer. Sebi claimed that his African bioelectric cell food could cure diseases like AIDS and cancer. He He also vehemently denied HIV was even the cause of AIDS. The science regarding the nature of HIV, AIDS, and cancer, two of the most deadly incurable diseases known to mankind that we should be as informed about as possible, is enough to confirm that Bowman's claims are nothing short of ridiculous. There is currently no effective cure for HIV/AIDS. HIV, human immunodeficiency virus, is a retrovirus that attacks the immune system, primarily infecting the CD4 T cells. The progression to AIDS or stage 3 occurs when the immune system is severely damaged, and while ART, antiretroviral therapy, suppresses viral replication, it cannot eliminate the latent HIV reservoir. This reservoir consists of infected CD4 plus T cells that revert to a resting quiescent state, harboring stable pro-viral HIV DNA, which can reactivate if ART is stopped. Not only are Bowman's claims completely unsupported by evidence, they are extremely harmful. Cancer. Cancer involves complex causes including genetic mutations and requires nuanced treatments. The immune system battles malignancy through complex specialized cells, including natural killer cells and cytotoxic T lymphocytes, CTLs or CC8 plus T cells, which detect and kill tumor or virally infected cells. CTLs execute killing via mechanisms like perforin granzyme-mediated lysis or death receptor-induced apoptosis. The idea that a simple alkaline state or herbal snake oil could override these complex cellular and molecular pathways is not at all supported by science and honestly fucking stupid. Cell food supplements, African biomineral balance compounds. Sebi sold proprietary herbal products claiming therapeutic healing benefits. The severe lack of evidence backing these claims and safety concerns can sufficiently debunk them. Lack of efficacy data. There is zero substantial evidence to support any of the curative claims regarding Sebi's compounds. For example, flor de manita, an ingredient in his blood pressure balanced herbal tea, was found in scientific papers only to report on its antibacterial activity in petri dishes and antidiarrheal activity in mice and rats, with no documented reports on its effect on blood pressure. Debunking detoxification. Many of the products were marketed for detoxification, but science confirms that the body does not require a regular detox. The kidneys and liver are already efficiently filtering the blood. The toxins referred to in detox solutions are typically vague and undefined. Safety and regulation. A rather concerning notice on the products sold by Sebi and his company stated that the formulas may contain ingredients not listed here. Not knowing the exact ingredients constitutes a significant liability, as they could interfere with medication, cause allergies, or lead to intolerances. Race-based pseudoscience. The final and maybe most damaging of his claims was that the African gene resonates on a higher electrical vibration and that his compounds were designed to complement the African gene structure. Using some molecular biology and genetic variation studies, we'll put this violently disgusting and damaging rhetoric that predatorily targets people of color in the fucking garbage where it belongs. Gene resonance. This concept is complete drivel and classifies as cookie-cutter race pseudoscience, just like eugenics. Genes do not resonate. They are stretches of DNA that code for proteins, something Sebi can't even define, serving as instructions, not tuning forks. Genetic variation. To bring it home, the notion of a singular African gene is categorically incorrect. One of the most replicated findings in the human field of genetic variation is that most of our genetic differences are found within geographic groups, not between them. If it helps, I'll give you a little analogy. Sebi's approach to curing complex diseases by simply manipulating acidity is like trying to fix a supercomputer failure, cancer, or AIDS by merely adjusting the room temperature. Blood pH. The supercomputer, the human body, has highly complex self-regulating internal cooling systems, kidneys and lungs, that maintain optimal temperature regardless of minor external changes like diet, and the fault lies deep within its specialized hardware or code, HIV reservoir, oncogenic mutations, requiring highly specialized targeted interventions, ART or chemotherapy or immune modulation, not just a fan adjustment. The final chapter of Sebi's life would play out not in a healing center, but within the confines of a Honduran prison. His life would end under circumstances that, for his followers, would become another point of contention and fuel lasting speculation about the forces they believed were aligned against him. The timeline of events leading up to his passing is as follows. May 28, 2016, Alfredo Bowman, aka Dr. Sebi, and an associate were arrested at Juan Manuel Galvez de Rotan Airport in Honduras on charges of money laundering. They were found carrying $37,000 in cash, a sum for which they could not not provide a sufficient origin, but which is consistent with the lucrative nature of an enterprise selling supplement plans for up to $1,500. June 6, 2016, after briefly being released pending a court hearing, Bowman was rearrested by the Public Ministerio on the same money laundering charges. He was subsequently incarcerated in a Honduran prison. August 6, 2016, Alfredo Bowman dies at the age of 82. He succumbed to the complications of pneumonia while being transported from the prison to a hospital. Though his official cause of death was medical, the circumstances surrounding it provided a fertile ground for conflicting interpretations that would shape his legacy till this day. Not to mention the fact that rapper Nipsey Hussle was in the process of creating a documentary about Bowman's life and legal battles before he was murdered in 2019. Law enforcement found no connection between Nipsey's untimely passing and the documentary. However, as I'm sure you would guess, the timing only helped add to the conspiracies. And so, we arrive at the pathetic, unceremonious end of Alfredo Bowman's tale, a narrative not of a revolutionary healer, but of a masterful parasite. Dr. Sebi was a fiction, a meticulously crafted phantom who rose from the intellectual wasteland of his own ignorance to build an empire on the back of desperation. His legacy is not one of suppressed truth but of predatory delusion, a testament to the catastrophic power of a charismatic charlatan preying upon the medically disenfranchised, particularly his own people. He was a grifter of the highest, most insidious order, a cult-like figure who, under the guise of ancestral wisdom, constructed a remote Honduran harem where he could play God, spreading his seed with the same thoughtless abandon that he spread his lies. His entire doctrine, the African biomineral balance, was a monument to biological absurdity, a hollow trinity of mucus, acidity, and racial fantasy. The notion that all human pathology from AIDS to cancer could be vanquished by manipulating the body's pH is not just wrong, it is a profound insult to the elegant, brutal complexity of medical science. It is the equivalent of trying to fix a failed supercomputer by adjusting the thermostat in the room, a child's understanding of a problem that demands genius. This was his gospel, a dangerous oversimplification sold for up to $1,500 a plant to followers who were encouraged to conflate the very real yet limited benefits of a cleaner diet with the miraculous eradication of incurable diseases. But the most venomous strain of his pseudoscience, the poison that still sickens our communities, was his predatory racialization of medicine. The claim that an African gene resonates at a higher electrical vibration is not just genetic illiteracy, it is a vile and calculated weaponization of black identity. It exploits the very real history of medical mistrust within communities of color, not to empower, but to isolate and endanger. It tells a sick and dying person that their salvation lies not in the rigorous, evidence-based treatments of modern medicine, but in a proprietary snake oil designed for their supposedly unique biology. This is the enduring grave danger of Sebi's ghost, a legacy that convinces people to abandon life-saving antiretroviral therapies and chemotherapies for an alkaline diet and herbal teas, turning a diagnosis into a death sentence. Let us be unequivocally clear. Alfredo Bowman was not a martyr silenced by a vast pharmaceutical conspiracy. He was a con man who died of pneumonia in a Honduran jail, arrested for money laundering, the banal and fitting end for a career built on financial and spiritual exploitation. His life's work was not healing. It was the masterful art of selling false hope to the hopeless. His name should not be whispered with reverence in the halls of alternative health, but stand as a stark academic warning, a case study in how the absence of evidence when filled with charismatic lies and cultural pandering creates a vacuum where science dies and the vulnerable follow it to the grave. That was a lot, right? I know. If you made it all the way to the end, I really can't express to you enough how much I appreciate you. I do these videos as passion projects, hoping that somebody might get something of value from them, for real. So if you feel like that's you, let me know with a like, a subscribe, and a comment. I would really love to hear from all of y'all. It also lets YouTube know that they should be putting some respect on my name and pushing my content out to more people so we can have these conversations on a larger scale. I plan to keep the best momentum I can, and right now that's roughly about 1 video a week. I'm hoping I could raise that number in the near future. We'll see what happens. I'm doing my best. So all of you still watching, check out my videos here and here. Make sure you're subscribed. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss my next drop. But if you don't do any of that, at the very least, and even more importantly, be the person you'd like to meet. Peace.
Oh man, I'm about to pop out. And you know I brought the drop out.